All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday night. Happy Monday night to you. This is Monday Night. The Royal We Live is getting started right now. I'm going to wait just a couple of moments for some people to sign on real quick, so I will put the music on. And I hope to see a lot of you familiar faces here tonight. We have a lot to talk about. Tonight on the Royal we are going to be talking live about breaking generational curses, which is coming right out of the video that I just uploaded on the Organic Royal We channel, talking about breaking the generational curses from toxic parents and siblings. We're going to continue on in that discussion because there's some things that I was not able to talk about, things that I'm going to be putting on the Patreon account in more in depth, but they're important things to understand nonetheless. So we're going to talk about that. I also want to hear your guys' thoughts through your phone calls and through your comments as to what dealing with toxic parents has been like for you, what that hierarchy structure looked like. And so let's wait a few moments and say hi to people who are signing in. Hi, Taylor Zabel. It's good to see you, Tanya. What's going on? Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to see you. And I am going to really quickly here pull something up here. This episode of The Royal We Live is going to be... This episode of The Royal We Live is brought to you by the Patreon and the Patreon people who are currently supporting Patreon. And I'm trying to pull that up right now, if I can. Doesn't look like it's going to allow me to right now. Why not? Why not? Why aren't you going to let me? Before we get into the topic here. Here we go. Found you. I have to do this, and I'm going to have to be more prepared, guys. I'm definitely going to have to be more prepared. So tonight's Royal We Live is brought to you by the recent Patreons and by Patreon. Thank you guys so much for supporting the Royal We. It's because of you that we're able to do this Monday night. And I want to give a shout out to Anna Bolanos. Thank you. Blue. Dan, thank you so much. Diane, Ezel, Doris, thank you. Greg, thank you. Katie, thank you. Kim, Carmichael, thank you very much. Laura Jean, thank you. Linnea, thank you. Mary Silva, thank you. Raina, thank you. Russell, thank you so much. Sherry, thank you. Tony, thank you. And Tanya, thank you so much. You guys are the sponsors of tonight's Royal We show. For those of you who have not yet jumped onto Patreon, I encourage you to do that. The goal is to get to 300 Patreons, in which case we would be going live every single night of the week, Monday through Friday, and have that strong community support. This place, the open door, where you guys can come together as a community and just have this platform, and we'll be here taking live phone calls and taking discussions. And with that, let's go ahead and get to some of the other stuff. I have so many things to click through here without even being able to say hi to everybody yet. So we're going to go ahead and go through some of the things that are important announcements on here. If this is your first time on the Royal We Live, thank you so much. I encourage you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, according to YouTube algorithms and all that fancy stuff, you will need to hit the bell notification in order to know when the Royal We is live on this channel. Otherwise, it will not notify you. Last but not least, on the Royal We Live, the point here is to connect with people in the chat room, connect with me through the phone, talk about issues. This is the place where you get to clean. This is the place where you find answers. This is the place where you find healing and direction and guidance through the toxic situation that you are dealing with. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into, well, first, let me go ahead and introduce the moderators. I've got to do that. Thank you so much, Blue. Blue is in the house. Thank you so much, Blue. Blue is all over the place with the Royal We. She is a heart and a soul here, and definitely you will find her just to be an enormous help. She will be posting videos and helpful links to other sources that are going to help you in your recovery journey, as well as Taylor Zabel. Taylor, usually the very first one to sign on when I'm here. She is going to happily be there waiting to greet you. Also, Dee is also here, and Dee's also a moderator. And then there is also Tanya, and Tanya, I have not yet put the picture together for you, and I need to. Tanya is also a moderator. Everybody, be sure to give a lot of love to the moderators who are here. They are very helpful, and they're here for you. And so with that, let's go ahead and get started right into the topic before we start taking the phone calls. We're going to be talking about generational curses tonight. And this comes out of the video that I just produced about breaking generational curses. Now, one of the gripes and the complaints is that the video was too quick. And it was quick. The issue is, and I'm not sure if you've seen some of the cuts in that video, I actually cut out a lot. And one of the things that, I can do is talk and ramble, especially when it's something that's heartfelt, and especially when it's something that I'm grappling with myself. Obviously, coming out of narcissistic abuse, one of the things that we talk about awakening, because coming out of narcissistic abuse is an awakening. It's a spiritual awakening. It's a awakening in the world. Reality sets in. Things get real. So when you come out of that toxic relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever, chances are you're going to go through this healing period where all of your energy and your anger is going to be directed at that one person, that sibling, that boyfriend, that girlfriend, that spouse. But as you heal, it's like you're going to be taking steps back and back and back, and you're going to be leaving your body, and you're going to be looking out over your entire life. And here's what you're going to realize. You're going to realize that you've been surrounded by narcissistic abuse all of your life. You're going to realize that it was there in your parents. It's there in the siblings you grew up with, step parents, your teachers at school, the bullies in the schoolyard. A lot of the things that you're going to come to terms with is the reality of the world that we live in, which is very much narcissistic, very much abusive. We do live in a fallen, broken world, if you want to look at it from a biblical perspective. And the Bible tells us that at some point we have lost that. We've forgotten that. We started to get very relaxed in our lifestyle choices. Well, I can hang out with these people. Who cares if they do drugs? I'm supposed to love them. Well, I can date this person, and I could sleep with that person. I could do this. I can do that. And it's out of this relaxed state that we've been pulled off our path by these wolves who said, sure, we'll take you up on that offer. And they cause a lot of damage, right? And so, but parents is an issue in this too. So I'm again, see, you can see how I can talk, but I gotten way off the topic. What I really want to talk about was the hierarchy. So part of what you're going to see in the awakening that you have is that if you come from a toxic parent family, dysfunctional toxic family, then you know that hierarchy that I was talking about in the organic video. A lot of people think that, well, it's just the parents. They're the top. They're the authority. But I thought it was a great point to illustrate that they're not the authority. What really is the authority is that lifestyle. That's that entity. That's that evil that resides over. Because a lot of people like to say, well, parents do the best job that they can with the tools they've been given. And that's not true. When it comes to things like lifestyle and you choose that stuff. These tools you choose. Okay. And so parents, if they're toxic and dysfunctional families, I wanted to make that point that they chose that. They chose what they were into over their children, over their family, over their own lives. And I've heard horror story. This is why fathers leave the house. They leave and my dad is no exception. Left the home. I was 4. My brother was even younger. My dad's issue, he was just unstable, out running around, right? My mother, alcoholic, as a result of being hurt. But still, because she was hurt by my dad and her second husband, she chose alcohol. And that became her authority above her children, above us, above herself. It ultimately, it cost her life. And this is why I said they put that even above themselves. And I've heard other stories of parents locking themselves in the room, doing drugs, their kids out in the living room. This is the choice they make. These are the tools they choose to use, not the tools they've been given in life. They choose to use them. This is what they serve. This becomes the Lord. This is why it's important. This is why it's so important, guys, to choose to serve something. You're going to serve something in this life, but make sure you choose to serve the right thing. because it will lock you up in your bedroom. Whether that's alcohol, whether it's sex, whether it's drugs, what you choose to serve, what you choose as the Lord over your life is going to lock you up in the bedroom and take you away from everything else. So choose the right thing. That's the point of that. Now, then we get into the next layer after the parents, which is the children. And I put the children also, and more elaborate on that is also friends and other siblings of the parents. They're all in the same category. When they're sold out to that lifestyle, parents are, toxic, dysfunctional parents are, when they're sold out to that lifestyle, what they're really looking for is supply. People are either going to be with them or they're going to be against them. And this comes down even to the kids. Now, the kids that get this first are the golden children. So if the kids that cause the less problems, don't look at them cross-eyed, whatever, are the golden children. The children who even dabble in some of the stuff, become the golden children. The children that are different don't want to look that way, don't dabble in that stuff, want to do other things, want to be gone, want to be successful, want to be pursuing things in life. These become the scapegoats. They are a threat to that heart, of that lifestyle of the parents. And keep in mind that one of the reasons that narcissistic, toxic, dysfunctional parents have so many kids, this is just my thought on this, is because it offers a layer of protection. Think of a tribe. The reason there's a bunch of members of a tribe is to protect that lifestyle, right? And it's the same thing. And this is why everybody in that life is expected to protect that lifestyle. And if they don't, they're ousted. They're out of the tribe. They're disrespected from the tribe, right? And in a lot of cases, they were killed or whatever. Same thing happens in toxic, dysfunctional families. The parents act like the scapegoat is a terrible person. They kill the character assassination, smear campaign, make that child out to be a problem when the reality is that child just wants nothing to do with that lifestyle, right? So it's a very sad thing. So that scapegoated child has to carry the burden of everything that's wrong with the screwed up, messed up hierarchy. Very sad. Same thing with friends and other siblings that come into the family dynamic. And there are issues that both the golden child has and the scapegoats. A lot of times we all put all this, let's be upset and how sad the scapegoats are. But I want to let you know that golden children don't have it well either. As a matter of fact, my next organic videos are going to be videos that I'm going to expand on the hierarchy structure. I'm going to talk about the curse of the golden child because they do live under a curse just like the scapegoat does, right? The golden child, just to give you a little bit of insight on that, the golden child typically starts to form a performance-based identity. In other words, they have to give in order to be accepted. They have to perform well in order to feel accepted because this is what they did with their toxic parents. They pretended to be into this stuff. They gave into this stuff. They ran it, you know what I mean, just to get accepted. And so after a while, they developed that. They've had a very hard time just accepting themselves, and as a matter of fact, don't even really know who they are because they've been performing all their life. This is a curse of the golden child. It's a very unfortunate thing, too, to be a performance-based individual, and that's all you can do. Just like the scapegoat feels the burden of feeling like they're always wrong, okay? So that's going to be coming up later in the organic videos. And these are the things that I thought that it would be good to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and switch the scene here and go ahead and go back to some of what you guys are saying. I got the telephone number up right now, and you guys are welcome to call in. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and I'll look at some of the comments. Thank you for posting the telephone number. The telephone number is up, and I would like to hear you guys' thoughts. Anybody who has seen the video, the organic video, I want to thank you guys so much for that. And also, I did go ahead and while we're waiting for a telephone call, I want to let some of you guys know that I did update the intro video for the Royal We Home channel, which does include just some shots and things of the things we've done over the past year. In addition to that, information about Patreon, how important Patreon is going to become in the near future for the Royal We as far as building up and setting goals. The goal is to be able to have this every night. So with 300 Patreons, that's the goal. we're going to have the live stream every single night, Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock p.m., as long as we need to take it. An half hour typically, maybe an hour, so long as people are communicating and healing, because it's needed. I recognize that. I know a lot of you do. There's a need for this to be taking place on a nightly basis. So let's get the Patreon membership to 300 and get that going. All right. So what's going on in the chat? Since no one's calling in yet, people are being shy right now. Anything interesting going on in there? Hey D, how are you? They want approval. Yes. Blue, Tanya, not doing a dang thing. And all right. Well, since nobody wants to call, somebody did say I saw the video today. It was great. Thank you. Yeah, so the video is difficult. There we go. We got a telephone call from New York. You're live on the Royal We.
Kevin.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, we're just peachy keen over here in Buffalo, New York here.
Oh, good. What's new? What's going on?
Where to start? Well, first of all, we're sorry we missed y'all last week. We were in the woods. We kind of had to run away. Get away from it all, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, the wifey and I have been both no contact, and like I said, where to start? She went no contact on Mother's Day, and I went no contact myself on Father's Day. It was like the last straw for both of us, for both of our parents, mainly our mothers.
Right.
You know, for what it's for. And let's start with good call. Both Katie and I are probably going to be talking on this call because it's for both of us. So,
what did you guys?
Hopefully we won't get.
What did you?
Where to start? Well,
what did you think of the? What did you think of the organic video that I uploaded? Did you get a chance to see it about the hierarchy of breaking generational curses?
We watched it a couple times, and you're so right on with that. And it's crazy. Like when you were saying about the different authorities, like I was already like two of them jumped right out in my family, which was alcohol and adultery, for sure. And I think Adam's probably got that in common too. Both of our families, the alcohol abuse is just so prevalent on both sides, and to the point where it's why we've had to go no contact is just because it's our mothers. You know, the flying monkeys and anyone associated with her, they use people like pawns to us.
Yeah.
And what happened this past week was both of our mothers used our sisters to get at us, both within like a 12-hour time period.
Insanity.
They both showed up. Adam's sister showed up at our house. We hadn't even been home a couple hours from our camping trip.
Got done unpacking, and next thing you know, we get in the knock.
She's banging on the door. She's screaming in the bathroom window. Just no call, no text or anything. Just shows up.
No heads up.
And so we're like, well, we're not answering the door because we're just about to sit down at dinner. And, number one, it's really rude to just show up at someone's house uninvited and then just be like demanding pound. I mean,
we got to talk. No, it's not going to be, we got to talk. We're not going to have a conversation. You're just going to talk at me and you're going to scold me and you're going to guilt me.
Right.
I already know that's coming, So
yeah.
That'll be the message for my mother and our mother.
So how did you respond in the situation? What did you do?
We just shut the windows and continued about like having dinner. She started to call and like send text messages, and we just ignored it, and that was around like 9 o'clock at night, and then we're like, okay, well, nothing else happened after that. She finally left. She banged a couple more times on the door, but we just ignored it.
What's the little note that was kind of like a 3-piece note?
Yeah, she left a note on the van saying, please help me understand But then at the end of the message, she said, "Our parents always, took care of us, and now it's time for us to pay it forward." Because his mom wants us to move into the apartment above her home.
Oh,
and Adam
no.
told her no flat out.
Don't do
Yeah,
it.
Adam told her no flat out, and we're like, no, hell no.
Yeah, no.
And so we're thinking she's so mad about that, so she's getting Adam's dad and his sister.
She badgered me to go to my father's house, and then the first thing my father says, "You're an idiot for not taking that offer." So obviously she sent her message out before anything, and
Sure.
just the fact that I'm getting the double speech from her, and
I can tell. Yeah,
my sister,
I can tell just by this conversation that you guys, and now granted, you guys, I know you're not married yet, right? But we
got rings. Yeah, we're married.
Oh, you are married. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. Then I'm going to take it that
we basically eloped.
I talked to another couple not long ago. They called me during the day, and I spoke to them, and they were not married, but they were in a similar situation as you, boyfriend and girlfriend. But in your case, this is especially true. You're married. It sounds to me like you are still, at this point in time, you're too close to home. You really are. You're too close to this mess. You are not outside the bounds of this city, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's almost like living in Sodom and Gomorrah here. And you've got people and siblings coming and trying to tear at you. And they're going to continue to do that until you are gone. In these situations, especially if you're outnumbered, it's two of you now against all of these family members who want a piece of you, who want to control you, who want to tell you how to live your life. Radical change is going to have to be made, right?
Yeah.
Either you're going to have to, both as a couple, grow a radically big set on you, you know what I mean? And stand up and say, right? This ain't happening. Or you're just going to have to get out and go, right? And this is, I included this in this organic video. One of the principles that the ancient Hebraic people understood so deeply in regards to understanding parent-sibling, parent-children relationships is they made it a point to make it an instruction. And it's a principle in their core belief that therefore a man and a woman shall leave the mother and father, shall leave, right? And that's a command. It's leave, get out. You can't be under that authority and be a healthy married couple yourself, right? You have your own issues that you've got to step into life and worry about. You have your own bills to pay. You have your own lives to live as a couple. You don't need to be wrapped up in who's taking care of dad, who's taking care of mom, who's doing this, and who. No. You've got to live your life, right? And it's there's a lot of scriptures that back that up. There's a twisting of it of today's, cushiony, pillowy, marshmallowy Christian love. Stay close and make sure you take care of grandma and grandpa. And that's a perverted, twisted version. It says honor your parents, but that's it. Nowhere in the Bible. As a matter of fact, there's parts, and again, I'm stepping into the Patreon territory because I'm going to be putting a lot of this on the Patreon for people. But there are scriptures where, one person went to Jesus and said, "Let me go bury my dad," and Jesus said, "Let the dead bury their own dead. You follow me." Now we don't know. This is interesting, and I really, this is what I dig about the Bible, because we don't know what exactly was taking place. We don't know what the person's relationship it was with the dad. For all we know, maybe it was a distant, stressful, tense relationship with a narcissistically abusive dad, and Jesus knew that. And so this guy was saying, I very passively, not being a man, but just very passively, I got to go and bury my dad. Family wants to make sure I'm there, and I better do it. And Jesus said, "Let the dead bury the dead." What a profound statement. What a profound statement. Let the dead and people worry about the dead and people that have been dead in your life all this time. Don't worry about that. You follow me. And I believe that this is a good message for you and for any other person out there right now who's struggling with, well, what do I do? What's my involvement with my parents? They've been out of my life. Their lifestyle has been dead. They've chosen all these things over us. But I feel attached because if I don't, they get hostile and violent and they try to force me and they guilt me and they shame me. I believe that the message would be, let the dead bury the dead. You have a life to live, and you've got to run towards that life because you've got one shot at this life yourself. And it's time to stop wasting it with what's behind you.
You're right. You're right.
I'll get off my pedestal now on that one.
No, you actually,
I appreciate that.
What you are saying is like confirming, like, this is like the third confirmation I've had about, like, we need to get out of New York. And my sister, the very next day, who has not acknowledged me or spoken to me, she actually tells people that she doesn't have a sister anymore. And I found out about it because I ran into someone she works with. But so we haven't had a relationship in years, okay, even though I was still talking to my parents.
Mm-hmm.
She showed up at our house with the police the very next day. The police were banging on my door, trying to crawl through the window to do a welfare check, apparently. Mm. I've never been so appalled in my life. I mean, I had a full-on panic attack. I was terrified. I'm like, why are the police here banging and threatening to break into my home? And I can only imagine what kind of lies that my mother and, you know, whomever else told them, trying to convince them, you know, probably something about I'm on drugs or something really outrageous.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how is that even possible? And I've heard of people that, you know, their parents took out a missing persons report on them. I mean, and these are grown adults. So right. I'm just like, I'm wondering, what can I do? I mean, move, obviously. Yeah, that would be great.
Sometimes that's it. Sometimes that's it. It's a purging. It's a relocation. It's a complete start over. It's a very hard decision to make. It really is. But depending on what's going on and how it's keeping you from being everything that you're called to be, it might be just what has to be done. You would not be the first people that have had to make the decision to leave, right? And you won't be the last. This is the way it is. Listen, I took my family, and when I say my family, my wife, my kids, who are right now my responsibility, left 5 states, from California to Missouri, and it was the best decision I could have made for my family. We're thriving, we're flourishing here, and in California, we're everything. You know, the toxic relationships, the finances, everything was falling apart. And so a lot of times that's how you know. It's typically, when you want to make a decision like moving, it's typically not just because of you know what I mean? Bad relationships.
It's a pile of things.
Yeah, it's a pile of things. You'll sense a purging. You'll look around you and you'll look around you and say, "Oh my gosh." Yeah, everything's falling apart. Nothing's working. Right.
I mean, it's time to stand our ground and really, like get a set, whip them out and be like, here it is. And like, this is it.
Right.
And if that doesn't really get the message across to them and they keep pushing the boundaries and they give us no more options, then, you know, we're not going to back down. That simply is. Like, I'm telling her, you know, because we, you know, let's lock our windows and, you know, pretend we're not, you know, we can't do that. We're not going to hide in our own room.
We can't be afraid to go outside and enjoy our garden or things like that. Like, I'm wondering, like, what happens if they just start walking at me up the driveway when I'm outside watering the plants? Like, what am I going to say? You know, what am I going to do?
Right.
What, you know, I run through all these scenarios in my head that just instill this panic.
And this is how you live your life. You live in that panic. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your family. No. So you have to take that in consideration.
Stressing you out, stressing us out. We can't deal with that. You know, this is not the way to live.
No.
You know? And if they don't understand, well, and if we can't possibly make them understand, then really, the other option is to move, which is a shame. But
well, listen.
It really comes down to it. It's there, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Well, if
landlord, you know, he might be able to find another place and help us out. But like, at the same time, we always can't depend on that.
Right.
And on each other in the Lord. You know?
Well, the Lord will take us where He needs for us to go. You know, He's got this all figured out. So.
Right. Well, thank you. I think you have You have the right attitude about it. You definitely have the right attitude about it. So thank you. Thank you for calling and for sharing what's going on with us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for helping us out with some really sage advice.
Thanks a lot.
All right. We'll talk to you guys again.
All right.
Well,
Talk to
stay
you
in
soon,
touch.
Travis.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye. Good night. Yeah, that's a very difficult situation, and I appreciate talking with couples. I do talk with couples a lot, not on the live stream, but it's common that I do talk to couples who are dealing with just that. They're dealing with parents and the rejection. Either it's a situation where the the husband's parents are not accepting of the wife, or the wife's parents are not accepting of the husband. Typically, it's in-laws. And by the way, I saw the comment, yes, I'm drinking lemonade. It is refreshing because it's very hot here in the Midwest. Even at night, it's hot. As a matter of fact, it seems to get hotter after 4 o'clock in the afternoon than it is 12 o'clock noon. The heat just gets progressive out here. And add that to the index factor or whatever, you're just sweaty. Midwest. Yeah. It's good. I love it though. I'm not complaining. I absolutely love it. I love it out here. But I've got to make sure I'm staying hydrated. Know what I mean? Now going back to this, the family issues. One of the things when we talk about dating, if I get to the route of making organic dating video, I would really caution people in the dating world. Pay attention close to the relationship that the person you're dating has with their parents. Okay. And now, obviously, if they are talking all bad about their parents all the time, this and that, and you meet them and it seems kind of off, then you could be dealing with a narcissistically abusive person. You want to watch that. But the same token, if they are too close to the parents, then you got to watch out. You women got to watch out. Listen, I know at some point people were like, "Oh, he's a mama's boy. That must mean he's really good. He's that mama boy." No. Listen, I've never heard of a situation where it ended up good for a woman getting involved with a mama's boy, because what happened is mama starts to act like mama bear at some point in the relationship when you're married already. It gets nasty. It gets really bad. It turns into a cat fight, which shouldn't exist between a mom and a wife. And the mama's boy is so soft because he's a mama's boy that he's afraid to stand up to his own mom. He gets torn, and that destroys the wife. Because listen, once you marry, you make that covenant, you make that promise, you are not tied any longer to your mom or your dad. That marriage is a binding agreement. You're one. And if that means that if your mama comes after your spouse, you've got to back mama down. If your daddy comes after your spouse, you back daddy down. I've had to do that. My dad, when I was probably 3 years into my marriage, made a request of me, and I said no. And he made this comment, "Well, that's not my son talking. That sounds like your wife." I said, "Don't you dare." Something just snapped inside of me. "Don't you dare bring my wife into this. This is me talking." You have to. You give them a foot in there, they're going to think they can do that. I remember I received a telephone call from a woman, and she was saying, and I'm going to do my best. I think I've talked about this once before in the old live stream, but I think that she had an accent. I'm going to do my best to impersonate the accent. But she said, "Gavin, my son, he needs help. He's married to a narcissist, and I don't know what to do to help him." She was just in just ruin over this, and she kept trying to get me to fix the situation. Her son and her son's wife. Can you talk to him? And I said, listen, I'm not going to contact him for you. I don't do that. I said, you can have him contact me, and if he has a problem, I'll help him through that. And she goes, no, you don't understand. He doesn't know. He does not know that she's a narcissist, and he needs help. He's not. And I said, what do you mean he doesn't know? Oh, he think he in love. He think he in love, and he just doesn't know. Can you please just call him? Somebody needs to talk to him. And I'm like, listen, I cannot call your son because you believe his wife is a narcissist. I said, if you want me to talk to him, you have your son call me. And she agreed. About 5 minutes later, I did get a call from the son. And I could tell, I answered the phone, said hello. And he was just, I could tell he was mentally just done. And he said, who are you? And I'm like, I said, hey, my name is Kevin. I'm with the Royal We. My mom has been blowing up my phone, telling me to call you. And I said, oh, okay. I know who you are. Your mom apparently has a wife or has an issue with your wife. And he just cut me off right there. And he said, the only issue is that my mom has not left my wife alone or me for years. She is causing so many problems, making my marriage difficult. My wife has been in tears. My wife finally cut her off. And I was like, he was going on, I could tell. And I turned it around and I congratulated him. I said, listen, I have nothing to say to you. I applaud you for standing up for your number one, who is your wife. I said, good job. Good for you. Good for you. And it sounds like you have a good understanding of what your wife's going through. You have an understanding of what your mom, and I don't know what the mom's deal was. But it doesn't matter. Mom had a problem with letting go. Once you're married, mom let go. It's not your boy anymore. Right? And it could go, I can go on to so many levels on that. If you moms out there, you have to understand before you start hating on that woman's loving your boy in ways that you never could and never will. Right? Because that's the order of things. How it is. Let it go. And same thing with fathers. You got to do the same things. Let it go. You're no longer mom. You're no longer dad. That relationship, mother, father, children, was not meant for a unification, which is what some societies, some cultures even have made it. You got to be unified. We're one. This family relationship is above all things, even above marriage. No, it's not. Marriage is one. Parent, brothers and sisters, siblings, no. At any rate, I would like to get another telephone call before we wrap this up. If anybody else has anything they would like to chime in on that. And the telephone line is open. How's everybody doing tonight? Good? Good. Conversations are going good. You guys, it looks like you guys are... I'm looking in the chat room, and I see cake mix recipes. This is the wrong channel for cake mix recipes, but I'm whatever you guys want to put on there. That's awesome. Just listen. Send me some of those cakes. Send me some of those cakes, guys. Since you're doing recipes, which, hey, by the way, recipes are fine. What I'm actually going to be doing also, just for you guys who are here, you are the core. You are the family members here. Since we're talking about sunburn, are you talking about my sunburn? I have a bad sunburn. Listen, being out in the sun, recording that video on the Breaking Generational Curses, this white guy right here got burnt to a crisp in just a little. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I was out there for a couple of hours, and I should not have been. The things I do to go out and make these videos. I burned my nose, my head. You can actually see the transition. If you go back and you watch that video, you'll see the second half of it. You will see the red. You won't see the transition from white to red in there, but you will notice the redness of the skin later in the video. So yes, I did get, Taylor has one. Taylor, you and me both. We got burnt. So I'm going to have to, replan these videos I'm making. And, but I get in that mode. Once I get out there and the camera's rolling and I'm out, especially if I'm out and I'm, I've got to get it done. Especially if I'm at the Arch or wherever, outdoors, I've got to get it done. I don't want to mess around, but it can take a long time. And in this heat, oh man, someone's going to get heat exhaustion out there. It's going to be me, but I'm happy to do it for you. But speaking of recipes, one of the things that's going to be going on the Patreon channel as well is I am going to be coming up with some more recipes. I do have recipes in the works. This Patreon's going to be fun. I really want to encourage you all to be a part of that. Patreon's going to be a good time because I want to put in there some of the healthy recipes and things, because healing from narcissistic abuse is not just about getting away from toxic people, family, and friends. It's about just a healthy lifestyle in general. You're going to find that what you put into your body has a huge role on your emotions, on how you feel. So eating things organically. This past couple weeks back, I did go and have my blood taken out. Huge benefits in doing things like that. I did put the adrenal cocktail, which is something that I take on a daily basis, and lots of good stuff. So there's a lot of things that I want to be able to put on Patreon. I am working on it. Blue and I talked about it a little bit a couple weeks ago. It is a progress. It's a slow progress. It's making multiple platforms. So you're going to see a lot of changes coming forward. So for you guys, for all of you here, you're going to see a lot of changes on the Royal We. There's going to be a new look on the channel. Got a new banner, all that stuff. You're going to see some changes. Let's see. Juicing is good. Juicing is good. I really want lemon cake. Kevin, what's your favorite cake? I don't eat a whole lot of cake right now. I'm sorry. I don't. I've honestly, I've never been too much of a cake fan. The sweetness of cakes. I think I had cakes when I was a kid, and there was those store-bought cakes and the frosting and stuff at that time. There was something about it that just hurt my teeth when I bit into it. Something about the sugar left a bad taste in my mouth with cake. But if I do have cake, I'm a big fan of cheesecake. In fact, I like the Cheesecake Factory. I was a big fan of the Cheesecake Factory in California for a long time. And you can put anything on cheesecake. Love different cheesecakes. And like Cheesecake Factory, they put anything on their cheesecake. Really good. But that's basically it. I don't eat a whole lot of cake now. The sugar content so high, and that can really mess you up for a while. I'm not a person to talk about too when it comes to talking about splurging on cakes and stuff. I'll be disappointing to you. Sorry about that. Cheesecake is good. Yes. So what do you think about that, Taylor? Did that ruin you? Are you mad because I don't eat cake? I wish I could see more of I see Taylor said, Kevin, talk about gaslighting, please. You want me to talk about gaslighting right now? I will talk about gaslighting right after this phone call. How's that? We got a call from Wisconsin. You're live on the Royal We.
Hi, Kevin. It's Tanya.
Tanya, what's going on?
Not too much. I just saw the chat rolling, and the girls are asking for you to talk about gaslighting.
Yes, absolutely I will. Are these the girls from the Facebook group?
No, these are girls in the chat. You were just missing it because you were chit-chatting, so I figured I'd call and say, hey, Kevin,
Stop
can you
talking
tell us about gaslighting?
Stop talking about cake and stuff. Talk about gaslighting. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, but before you get to that, what's your favorite kind of cake?
I would have to say I don't eat a whole lot of cake, but just because sugar stuff like that, I try to stay away from that. But if I do, it's cheesecake. I'm a big fan of any kind of cheesecake. So, cheesecake is good. You can put raspberries on it, peanut butter on anything on cheesecake. Anything cheesecake is good. Yeah. Do you have a Cheesecake Factory where you're at?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a couple hours away. There's one in Milwaukee. I don't know if there's one in Madison because I live in the Dells area in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so there's a Cheesecake Factory I've been to a couple of times in Milwaukee. I have a friend that lives there, and yum. But I'm on a sugar-restricted diet, so I have to be very careful about what I eat. So.
And I think we all should. Sugar-restricted diet or not, one of the things here in the Royal We is just we want to be healthy. And
yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying sugar's bad, but sugar's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, personally, I grew up on enough sugar. And I still sometimes I know people who drink like a Pepsi or a Coke a day, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know.
I can't touch that stuff. I can't touch that stuff.
Yeah. So let's get into this gaslighting question. Thank you so much, Tanya, for being the voice of your ladies in there, and we'll get into it.
Great.
So,
I can stay on the line and we can discuss
absolutely
between you and me.
Yeah.
One of the things that my ex used to do was he was a creator of drama. So he would tell me, Tanya, you don't love me because of this. And I'm like, well, you can't tell me how I feel. And I don't know if that would be a methodology of gaslighting or
absolutely.
if it would be
Absolutely.
Anything.
Anything. Yeah. When they come at you with "you don't love me," that is a form of gaslighting, especially when it comes out of nowhere. And gaslighting is a purpose. It's a driven purpose to catch you off guard and to put you on a defensive. Because as long as you're there on a defensive trying to figure things out, then you're going to be in this place of need and of wanting. Right? It keeps you attached. It keeps you attached in the relationship. I'll give you an example. One of the things that abusive narcissists also like to tell you is that how wrong you are. You're selfish, right? They'll tell you you're selfish or you're very judgmental.
Yep.
And the reason they do this is, one, they're really being the selfish ones. They're being the judgmental ones. And what they want to do is get you in that place where you're engaging with them, saying, no, I'm not. I'm not. Because abusive narcissists like that. They need that. They need you to be kind of, they imagine you're grabbing at them, going, no, I'm not judgmental. I'm not judging you. I'm not selfish. I love you. They enjoy that. They want to hear that. They want to hear you say how much you love them. And if they have to trick you to get you to say that, they will. And they enjoy that. And so that is a form of gaslighting. Whether or not they know the extreme damage that it does to a person, it is neither here nor there, because it does do extreme damage. It has long-lasting consequences. So if you're experiencing gaslighting, which is anything that you know is not true about you, but they're saying it anyways, know that this is on the path to lead to lasting destruction in your life. Nobody should be talking to you like that. Nobody should be telling you what you feel and what you think. Okay? Now, it's one thing if they come to you and say, hey, that thing that you just did, that you gave me this weird smirk, and it kind of hurt my feelings. It kind of looked like you didn't care. Okay, well, then at least you have something to work with. And you can say, oh, well, that smirk, I apologize. I cast that smirk every now and then. Or, even me, I don't know. I'm trying to find something. I guess I can be smart alecky, and I'm sure some of you have seen that. Not in a way where I'm trying to be rude or mean, but it just kind of comes out sometimes. And if someone were to catch me on that and say, hey, Kevin, that was kind of smart alecky, and yeah, don't do that, I'd say, okay, no, I get it. I'm trying to watch that. I apologize. That makes sense. That's not them attempting to gaslight me. That's them catching something and saying, hey, and I get that. But with narcissists, they don't do that. You could just be sitting there. Nothing's happening. Nothing's being spoken. And out of nowhere, they can say something really off the wall, like, you're just selfish. You just do your own thing, don't you? Just out of nowhere. Really weird. But form of gaslight.
Yeah, my ex was famous for doing things like that, completely out of left field, where, he told me, and here's an example. Like, he told me that he didn't like to, because he drove truck, and he didn't like to be hassled when he came in the door. He liked to come in and sit and chill, get out of his work clothes. So things that I would do for him was I would take his CPAP, because he was, he had sleep apnea. I would get his CPAP all set up. I would, and do it quietly so he would have that peace when he came in. And he, at some point after doing that for like 6 months, because he said he didn't like to be crowded when he first came home, and I would sit in the kitchen, he'd sit in the living room, flip channels on the TV, whatever. Then he's like, you don't love me because you don't come and sit with me in the living room after I get home. And I'm like, I always sit in the kitchen. I have a special chair at the table that I sit in the kitchen. It's nothing against you. I'm just trying to give you space. And you don't love me. You don't love me. And why the hell don't you want to touch me and spend time with me and talk to me when I come home from work? After he told me that that's not what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to go to space.
Right. Well, with most narcissists, you're expected to just, again, in the narcissist world, you're in their world. You're expected to just be what they want when they want it. And you're expected also to take their lack of tact as a loving nudge, right? I remember I was playing, I was at my, kind of a similar story. Well, not really, it's different, but I was at my wife's siblings, my in-laws, and I was having a conversation with one person. Well, apparently this made a narcissist very upset. Another person screamed at the top of their lungs, "Get over here, we're playing poker." But didn't just say that. Getting over here, we're effing playing poker. And
gotcha.
Yeah, so I got up and I said, whoa, okay, I guess I better go play some poker, and just going with it. And I thought it would end there, but it didn't. I sat down at the table, and this particular person, this girl, continued to dig in, slamming the poker chips down right next to me. Boom! And I'm like, okay, are you going to calm down at all? Apparently it upset this person that I did not read the mind and get over there and play poker when I was supposed to. So this is how they, and so they punish you for that. You're punished.
Yeah.
And that is a form of gaslighting. You're made to feel very bad because you're not on top of it, what they want, and then you're punished for it. How dare you not be on top of my needs?
Exactly. That's a lot. That's a lot of how my ex was. And he was like, you should be doing these things organically. You should know. I'm like, well, I don't take hints very well, and I'm not a mind reader. So if you want something, you just need to tell me.
Oh, and they hate that.
And that worked.
They
that worked really well
that.
for me this last time.
Yeah. They absolutely hate responses like that because there's truth in it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But they don't want truth. They don't want equality. They don't want it to make sense. They don't want rationality. They want, no, you're here for me. I'm, and they explode. They throw fits like babies. They go into their narcissistic rage, which is like a 6-year-old who doesn't get what they want. You're not playing with me, and throwing stuff and calling you names. It's disgusting. And so these are definitely signs that, okay, you got to get out. You got to get out. I can't deal with this. Right?
Exactly.
There's no healthy conversation, and there's, you know what I mean? It's not going to work out. It can't work out.
Yeah, there's no way it can, because you can't. And this was one of the things that was my epiphany with my ex, was I can't have a rational conversation with him. I can't get anything to work. When he was upset and he was, and they talk about it I know you've mentioned it and I've heard about it in other circles, it's that narcissistic injury.
Right.
And there was no rationalizing with him. There was no talking to him. There was no method of de-escalation where I'm like, look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're upset. I do love you. Let's work through this. Let's talk about it.
No. Yeah.
None of that ever worked, even though that's what he said I needed to do when he was in that state, was apologize, even though it wasn't my fault. 9 times out of 10, he was just blowing up about something stupid.
And typically, I want to add too, is once they have that first moment, it changes the dynamic of the relationship, and they seem to be angry from there on out.
Yeah.
So there's going to be, when it comes to dealing with abusive narcissists, there's going to be one situation where you experience that first narcissistic rage, and it's going to catch you off guard. It's going to get you. It's going to feel like something literally jumped out of them inside of you. And what you're feeling is that hatred. You're feeling that I don't have control. There's an evil entity. You feel it. There's a scariness to it, And from that moment on in the relationship, everything changes. In addition to that, it seems like they never quite calm down. After that incident, they feel like they then have permission to call you out on everything, to correct you on everything, to punish you for everything, to try to quiet you down over everything. So the first moment that rage takes place is a very pivotal moment. And when you deal with abusive narcissists, you only have so many options. If you want to choose to stay in the relationship, you at that moment squash that, but I wouldn't recommend that. Or you ignore it and you realize this is not a person that you want to be around. Volatile, hostile, unable to control their anger, going into fits of rages, you make that decision right then and there. My mistake, as yours was and as many people's is the choice to say, well, maybe they just had a bad night. I mean, even though I experienced hatred like I never have and haven't in a long time, maybe it was just a bad night. Maybe it'll just go away. No, it doesn't. What that does when you go back into the relationship is it gives them permission to do it again and again and again. And so I know we're a little bit off the topic of gaslighting here, but not really. And in that, as they continue to come at you and blame you, that's when you'll experience a lot of the gaslighting, because everything is your fault. The ultimate gaslighting from a narcissist is that you are responsible for their anger, right? The narcissists are angry, hurt children, okay? And they chose this. They chose a life of manipulation through this anger, because in a lot of ways we're all hurt. We've all had rough upbringings. Nobody's had a great upbringing, and that I'm aware of anyways. And there's hurts in there, but we don't choose to act out of that. But abusive narcissists do, and you have to understand that they're going to that's their anger. It's the root of their anger. And so it's not your fault. But in the relationship with the narcissist, they want to make it your fault because they can't stand that they're just angry people. They don't understand why they hate so much. So you give them a reason by staying in their life and by giving them that outlet. And that's the ultimate gaslighting, is that you being in the relationship, just by your presence, by you agreeing to be there with them, they're going to put the reason for their anger and hate onto you. And they're going to say, you're the reason. You're messed up. You're selfish. You're toxic. You're ugly. You're nasty. You don't love me. You don't care about me. Blah, 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 blah. They'll go off all day, every day, so that they can feel like they have a reason for their hatred. That's gaslighting. Big time. Instead of just coming out and saying, listen, I'm a mess. I am a mess of a narcissist. I know I am. I'm mean. I'm cranky. I'm arrogant. I'm rude to people. I probably have bipolar. I need help, which is what a normal person would do. But narcissists don't do that. Rather than admit that they need help, they would rather make another person the reason. It's easier.
Well, I ended up being the cause of all the problems, according to him.
Of course. Just like,
rather than,
and I am too. I am too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
One of the things that I've had to, understand. I know that I'm sure that, at some point my wife's siblings, and maybe they still are to this day, they would say, well, it's, Kevin took our sister away, blah blah blah. They don't call her ever, and I don't stop them from doing that. You know what I mean? And so it's just one of those things where they don't want to do anything, make the effort, make the change, do anything. It's easier for them to just sit and point their finger. You're the reason. You're the reason. You're why this doesn't happen. You're the reason why. It's nasty, vicious. It's best not to be involved in it. Not your world, not your drama. Step away from it.
Yeah, that's what I did, and I'm the bad guy for it.
Of course.
In his world, and I
this is why you
give 100 examples.
Yeah, and this is why you get out of that world. You don't belong in that world, right?
That's correct. I'm out and working on the healing process.
Right on. Right on. Well, thank you so much for calling. It's good to hear from you. I do want to be.
You're welcome.
I do want to be visiting the Facebook group in the near future.
Yeah.
And so I'll probably get in touch with you and talk more about that. How I can get in there and say hi and be involved.
Sure.
And continue in that. Thank you so much for everything you do. And
you're welcome.
It's good to hear from you. Glad you're here.
Yeah. You take care, and I'll post more. We'll post more about the Patreon membership on Facebook. I think it's at the pinned to the top of the page, but make sure we're talking about it with folks and stuff like that.
Right on. We're gonna get there.
So,
we're gonna get there soon. It's going to happen. We'll get there. We'll hit the goals, and a lot of changes are gonna happen. So, very excited about that, and just very excited that there's great people. You doing the Facebook and Blue and Dee and Taylor. It's just it's amazing to see things continuing. So good. So we'll talk to you later.
Just shy. Oh yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing, and I said there's just shy of 400 people on our Facebook group right now.
Wow.
So
wow,
I know it's massive.
Yeah. If I can figure out how to use Facebook, like I said, I'll get in there.
If you need some pointers, just let me know. I can help you out.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to. There's so many platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and now Patreon, and then there's a website. There's a website being built, so it's crazy. All these different platforms, but we'll get it all together. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All righty. Good night.
Bye, Kevin.
All right. With that, I want to thank you all for staying up and staying here and being a part of the Royal We. Yes, you are a founding member, Blonde Majesty, and thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Good night, Wendy G. I really hope you call in next time. I saw you thinking about calling in, and but I'm just happy that you're here. As long as you're here and you're able to get help and encouragement from Blue, from Dee, from Taylor, from Tanya, from anybody in the community, that makes it all worth it. Makes it worth it that you're here. And so very happy that you're here. Thank you all for being here. Be sure to like, subscribe. At this point, this live stream is for you. This is sponsored by you. So I encourage you guys to continue to push, not push it, but visit Patreon. Consider being a supporting member to get those numbers so we can do this every single night. And then just invite people who might be in a situation just to be able to join the channel, to be able to have a safe place to go on Monday nights to talk and to heal. And with that, continue on. Thank you for everything, and we'll be back next week on the Royal We. Good night, everybody.